Hey, Think Realty Nation, thanks so much for joining us on the podcast today. It's always our privilege, and really, I get excited about the fact that you're here with us and you're taking this journey, and we can be your companion on this journey of real estate investing. I love providing you great information and content, as well as some great people that you can anchor to as you grow in your investing journey. So today we've got a great guest. We'll get to that in just a second. Let me say a quick thank you to our podcast sponsor. Our podcast sponsor is Real Property Management. A good property manager is going to put more money in your pocket than take it out. You may think, well, I've got to pay fees for them to manage my property. And you do, but a good one is always going to put more money in your pocket and is also going to eliminate all the headaches and allow you to truly scale your business. So I want you to go to realpropertymgt.com. That's realpropertymgt.com. And you can find out more about Real Property Management and how they can help you with your portfolio of rentals. The guest I have on the show today is Ginny. And Ginny, you are with a group called InvestHer. Right. And I'm super excited about this because the very first magazine that we put out for Think Realty, which was 2013, the first article I wrote in the magazine, and I'm not a writer, but the first article I wrote was on the inequalities in real estate. And I said, it's a shame. I said, I'm third generation real estate investor. And the biggest shame is that more women and minorities are not represented in this space. That was the very first article I wrote because I believed that this world had been, I'm third generation, but it's almost like passed down person to person to person. And it felt like the whole world should know about real estate and the opportunities in real estate. And it felt like it was so secluded to such a specific, tight-knit group of people. Mm-hmm. And even I felt too young to even be in that group in my 30s. It was kind of this old guy kind of, club that I didn't fit into. And so that was the first article I wrote. And so when I see in groups like yours pop up, I get super excited because to me, real estate as an American is one of the greatest opportunities that we have as an American citizen. And so it should be for everyone. Everyone should understand this. They should take advantage of it if they can. So if you don't mind, kind of talk to us about InvestHer, the vision you have there, and Sure. What the organization is all about.
InvestHer was actually started by Liz Faircloth and Andressa Guidelli. Both really successful investors and found themselves really outnumbered in the space.
Sure.
Really by men. And so one afternoon, they decided to invite all the women to lunch at this conference, and they all fit at one table. Mm-hmm. And so for them, that was just a huge eye-opener. And from there, it sparked just a few women getting together, and they started in this coffee house, and then just really, like you said, we really need women in this space. Mm-hmm. Everything from home ownership to, like flipping houses. I'm like, they didn't ask a woman, that kind of thing. But they have grown to over 50 meetups around the country, which is awesome. Really, really amazing. We have a mastermind. We have education. They have classes every week. We have major events. We just celebrated our second InvestorCon, where there were 500 women
That's
in the
awesome.
room. It really was incredible. And last year, we had Kim Kiyosaki was our keynote. This year was Sharon Lechter. Mm-hmm. We've had some really amazing speakers that I have really, really enjoyed. And more than anything, and I'm sure you've experienced this growing up in this space, is really the camaraderie and the family that you get out of it.
Sure.
Right? These women have just bonded, and everything from a brand new investor to a really seasoned investor are just sitting at the table sharing ideas.
Right.
And that's what we really love. I host the Central Florida meetup for InvestHer, and I have 500 in my Facebook group alone.
Wow.
And anywhere between 20 to 30 every single month, and different events, I'll have more or less. But it's really so good to see women really engaging in the space.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome because for so many years, I've been approached by so many women that say, man, I really want to get into this. Actually, the very last conference we had, which was Houston, Texas, I had a lady who met me at a an event in North Florida. She said, I've always wanted to come to one of your conferences, but I kind of felt like maybe I wouldn't fit in, you know, and I was like, why wouldn't you fit in? She was like, have you ever looked around at your conferences? I'm like, I have, and you know, I get it. And I was like, literally, I'll pay your way if you'll come to my conference and just show up, because it's like, I so desperately want to see that. So to see a group of women that are making it happen is awesome. You know, I love it and congratulate you guys. It's huge, you know, like, because I think that so many women are on the sidelines who have the ability to do this, right? And honestly, a woman's intuition in real estate, in my opinion, oftentimes trumps a man's, you know, intuition. Like to get a woman's, a buddy of mine and a partner of mine, we flipped 140 or 50 houses in Chicago in a 1 or 2 year time period, and we had a female, a lady that was a part of the team, and the amount of money she made us with insight into just the design, the layout, how the house should be like when we were building these things out, it was huge. And we built an entire brand around it called Ann Lee Interiors, and you know, we flipped every house with this concept, and she was amazing for us. And to me, it's like I see that insight and wish that that women that are sitting on the sidelines that think, man, I really wish I would do this, would take a step. And so a group that's specifically for women is the easiest step in. They don't have to step into a man's world and try to figure it out, you know?
Their whole goal is to empower women to live a financially free and balanced life, whatever that looks like. You know, if she wants to scale to 500 homes, that's great. If 1 or 2 meets your need, or you just want to do different niches, that's what's so beautiful about this, is that it's just giving women the freedom to enter into the room and own her space.
Love it. It's awesome.
It is. It really is.
Very
I love
cool.
it.
So you have InvestHer, and then you also do a lot with EXP Realty as well?
Right.
Okay.
InvestHer has partnered with EXP, so I'm a broker associate with EXP, and I run the InvestHer team. Well, actually, we're just sponsoring agents around the country.
Sure.
You know, it's not a team in the sense of we're providing leads and you know, taking a piece of their action or anything like that.
Right.
But we are engaging agents that want to become investors and providing some education, you know, because they have all the data, all the information, and all the opportunity right in front of them.
Right.
And we know that 95% of agents out there do not invest. I think it's so surprising to me, really.
Surprising. Yeah.
I just think, you know, you guys have access to everything and you don't take action. We're so used to building other people's portfolios and never learning how to do it for ourselves.
Right.
So we're putting together training to help agents engage.
Sure. I mean, I see it all the time. My agent that's in North Florida, we just moved from Atlanta to the Jacksonville market in last October. And we were up there looking for a house, and you know, of course, I'm a real estate investor. I can't help it. And so we start talking about like our house. And then I was like, hey, but I love anything else you see. And she was like, oh, do you invest? I said, yeah, I've got quite a few doors. And she's like, I've sold, she told me she had sold over 1,400 houses in the last 10 or 11 years. I mean, it was quite a few houses a year. And she's like, I was just starting to think about buying a house for a rental. And I was like, you've sold, I was like, how many of you sold to real estate investors? She was like, oh, probably 100 or 200. And I was like, it never crossed your mind that you could do this too. And she was like, no, I didn't know that I could find the money, or I didn't know that I could, you know, it's wild.
It is such a mindset change to realize that it's not about you having to save all your money to get into the space. It really is. And you know, that took me some time. You know, I didn't start until 2015, even getting educated in real estate. So, and it was still I think it took me 3 years to realize, oh, I can just go partner with somebody on money and do it. So,
or that there's so many money sources out there that are private that are just there for the taking. You know, we have the American.
People are looking for people like us to use their money because they don't have the time to do it.
I find myself in a lending seat way more than I do in an acquisition seat. You know, I've got close to 4,000 doors, and it's like at some point, it's kind of pointless to continue to acquire, right? But I still want my money to work for me. So you find people that are active, and it's great. So if I'm a woman, I'm not, but if I'm a woman, I'm sitting here listening to this and I think, man, I really want to be a part, I want to hear more. How do they find out more? And then are there any markets that are underserved that you say, man, I really would love to have a representative there, someone that's willing to start meetups?
We are looking in every state. We have, like I said, we have over 50 meetups around the country, but Florida has more than any other state. We have Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Tampa, we have a group right here, and then the Orlando market and Jacksonville.
Okay.
So we have 5 meetups here. So if you're living in an area, I would tell you to go to therealestateinvestor.com and look for the meetups. There's a list of what's available. And if there isn't one in your area and you're willing to do it, I'm sure, it would just take a quick note to Liz and she would talk to them about starting up a meetup.
That's awesome.
Our goal is to get everywhere, that women want to meet.
That's incredible. Yeah, and there are some powerhouses in this industry now. It's like it went from 2013 that it was like you looked around and there were very few women in the space. Now today, you've got a ton of women-owned businesses and lending programs, and just women doing some very amazing things. Do you think that that's because social media allowed it to be okay and normal? It's like in 2013, you had to go to a RIA, you had to go to a conference like this. But it's like now with Instagram and Pinterest and Facebook, and it's like it's almost like it's okay. And there's thousands of women out there flipping houses now, and they're all over social. Do you think that's what contributed to so many getting in? I
definitely think it's a huge part of it. I think that being vulnerable, being willing to put yourself out there, and making the mistakes and letting other women say, oh, well, that wasn't it, but she still did it, right? She still took action.
Sure.
And just looking at the number of women doing it has really helped others step up to do it.
That's awesome.
I remember Liz telling me that when they first started their podcast, which is hosted by Bigger Pockets, there was a guy that said, you're going to run out of women to talk to.
Yeah.
And that was kind of a dare
to
her.
Right.
And they have just managed to do it over and over and over again with some real powerhouses.
That's awesome.
And we've got some great coaches within our mastermind. I think we have 6 different coaches, and they've just been phenomenal.
That's awesome. So in your mastermind, women can join this mastermind, and is it kind of like continuing education in that space, and you're giving like all types of content, or how does that work?
There is a qualification.
Okay.
You have to have done at least 5 deals that were investments to get into the mastermind, because you have to keep it at least at a level that's, you're on the same plane.
Yeah, right.
But yes, right now we have one coming up on short-term rentals, syndications, raising private capital, going from small to multifamily to small multis. Sure. One on business, one on JV partnerships, your contracts, your tax advisors. So, and then we have Elisa St. Germain has been a coach since its inception, and now she's taken a role where she's just doing a weekly call with all of us.
Yeah.
Really kind of just upping your game and your mindset and your business.
Yeah, that's awesome.
She
Very
is
good.
Great.
Any big initiatives that you guys have coming up, or do you do one conference a year? When's the next one? I mean, what's kind of on the horizon? InvestorCon
is coming up. It's next June in Austin, Texas.
Okay,
We're really looking forward to that. And when you're part of the mastermind, we meet multiple times a year. Sure. And then you have your local meetups, which all have these little events. And whenever Liz and Andressa decide they're traveling, they'll show up at a meetup.
Sure.
And that always gets a lot of attraction.
That's awesome. How do they find out more? They just go to InvestHer.com?
Go to InvestHer.com.
Okay, awesome. They can kind of find out locations and times and dates and everything like that.
They'll find all the information they need to know about the organization.
One last thing, and I know we've got to draw it to a close, but what's one of the big hurdles that you see women overcoming today that maybe they've struggled with in the past as they've jumped into the space? I mean, as you're leading your meetup, like these hurdles that maybe they faced before that now they're overcoming today, or something that they have to overcome today to make kind of this move? Like, what is it? Is it just mindset, or what is it?
A lot of it is. I think for women, most women in this space have always taken a back seat. and always been the helper.
Sure.
And never stepping up to stand out. So there's been a huge mindset change. I'm feeling worthy to do it.
Right.
You know, like I have what it takes. I know enough, I'm capable, and I can do this. And I know that I have this entire group of women around the country to support me, so that when I trip up or I have a question, I don't have to walk in like I don't know.
Sure.
It's never about what you don't know, it's
Right.
who you know, right?
Sure.
So we have built kind of this little army to help support women. So if I'm struggling with analyzing an apartment complex, I just put it out there in my group,
Sure.
and I get all these answers. I've got some resources here, and that's what we all do, right?
Right.
We just do
Right.
the research, but we've got other people helping us. So it's like having your team that you didn't hire.
Yeah,
You know?
right. That's awesome. Very, very good. So they need to go to InvestHer.com. They can find out all about this. That's awesome. And I would heavily encourage you to do so. If you're a woman that is in real estate, you owe it to yourself and to the community at large that's growing to support it and be involved. Let me also encourage you, if you are a man that is watching the podcast and you have a business in real estate, or your wife is involved, push your wife to go do something like this, right? Like we need as a group to broaden this community and provide a lot of access. And I love what these guys have been doing. And so really appreciate all the work you guys do, and congratulations on building a fantastic organization. If we can ever support it in any way, count us in. We'd love
Absolutely.
to, and appreciate that. Think Really listener and viewer, thank you so much for being a part of the podcast today. Again, if you are a lady in this space, please get involved with InvestHer.com. What an awesome organization with an awesome vision and mission. One last thank you to our podcast sponsor. Thank you so much to Real Property Management. Real good property management will put more money in your pocket than take it out, and you will know the difference. A good property management makes real estate investing so much easier. And I can attest to that. If you'd like to hear more about Real Property Management, you can go to realpropertymgt.com. That's realpropertymgt.com. And one last thing I want to give you before we leave. On March 28th and 29th of 2024, we're coming to the West Coast for our conference and expo. This is the first time we've ever been to Arizona, and because we have had so many of you reach out and ask us to come to the state of Arizona, specifically in Phoenix, we decided we would take that jump. And we haven't been to the West Coast since before COVID. So this will be our big West Coast coming out party. And we want you to join us and be a part of that. So to say thank you, to incentivize you for being a part, you just go to thinkrealty.com/Phoenix and use the word podcast, the code podcast. And that podcast link, or that podcast code, will get you a buy one, get one free, so you can bring a friend, a spouse, a business partner, and we'd love to see you out there in the masses. Let's have a great time in Phoenix on March 28th and 29th. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Please connect with us on social if you would like to comment or leave us any feedback on what you would like to see more of, as we can serve you better. We would love to. Thank you so much for being a part of the Think Realty Nation.